We will now be hearing from Hawaiʻi FoundHer programs, uplifting women entrepreneurs grounded in Hawaii. One of these amazing women is Leahia Apana. Leahia Apana co-founded Poli Poli Farms to connect her community with farm products made from culturally significant crops, increasing consumers' well-being and enhancing their connection with the Hawaiian culture. Traditional mahia'i farmers, aka farmers, naturally practiced what we now call regenerative culture that is now leaving it better than before. Lehia aims to honor this indigenous wisdom one seed at a time.
Following Lehia, we'll be hearing from Melalani Jones. Melalani Jones is a Maui girl and mother of two who has a deep sense of social responsibility to the care and future of Papa Hanamoku. She is the founder and owner of Kokua Diaper, an environmentally responsible cloth diaper delivery service on the island of Maui. Prior to moving back home after living in Brooklyn, New York, Melelani was fortunate to learn the cloth diaper business by the owners of Diaper Kind, a successful woman-owned cloth diaper service serving the families of the boroughs of New York City. Inspired by Diaper Kind's circular business model and the positive impact cloth diapering can have in reducing single-use waste, Melelani is dedicated to ensure that Kokua Diaper supports an ethical, environmental, and community-centered business. Following Melelani, we will hear from our last speaker, and I'm sorry if I butcher your name, Darien Siguenza. And Darien Siguenza earned her MA in Global Leadership and Sustainable Development at Hawaii Pacific University, with a focus on sustainable practices of Hawaiian apparel companies. Darien has supported over 70 startup companies while working at LA Clean Tech Incubator, or LACI, and Elemental Accelerator. While at LACI, she served as a member of the Women in Clean Tech Committee, which developed programming to give women founders access to investors and networks to set them up for success. She is also experienced in fashion design. Darien is also a Los Angeles native with familial roots in Hawaii. Without further ado, we will now hear from Leahia Apana.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for giving us this opportunity to share with you all today. I'm actually going to go first, and then Lehia and Mele will join after. So I am going to share my screen with you one moment. Yes, as mentioned, we are all a part of Hawaiʻi FoundHer. So I'm the program manager. I had the pleasure of working with Lehia and Mele over the past 6 months, along with 3 other founders who I'm going to share about a little bit later on. But just to frame the conversation, I wanted to share with you about what we are working on. The Accelerator is a Hawaii-based early stage accelerator for women of Native Hawaiian, Pacific Islander, and Asian descent. And this is really the first accelerator of its kind. I'm going to explain like our origin story, but we saw a huge need for a program like this, supporting women and mothers. And we are the only operating women's accelerator that provides both child care or elder care stipends and non-dilutive grant funding. Funding and access to capital is one of the biggest barriers that female founders face, statistically at least, along with many and most accelerator or business support programs don't take care into account. So that was something that was really important to us when we were designing the program. The program was founded by women business leaders from their personal and professional experiences, and it's ran by our experienced accelerator team. We're grounded in Hawaiian values and culture, and we just successfully launched our pilot cohort, and we've got big dreams for how we can expand going forward. So we started from these 2 incredible wahine, Bella Hughes, she's the founder of Shaka Tea, and Gloria Lau was the former CEO of YWCA USA. They are great friends. They have a mentor relationship, and they reflected on the challenges that they had both personally experienced as women and mothers in business, women of color, and thought about, it would be really exciting to create something new that had never supported women in this way before in Hawaii. So the partnership arose with the Purple Maya Foundation, who has a history of programming for Indigenous and local entrepreneurship. And throughout existing programs, Purple Maya Foundation recognized the same need for a program specifically designed for Asian, Pacific Islander, and Native Hawaiian women. So together, we came up with this idea for FoundHER. And these are the main components of the program. So as I mentioned, we gave non-dilutive grant capital, and essentially that just means that we are giving funding with no equity taken from your company in return. So you still receive or maintain 100% full ownership of your company, even though we're giving you the grant. Child and elder care support, so a stipend for that for folks to use as they see fit. Experience-based education, access to a bunch of mentors and service providers, workspace, and personalized coaching. And I'm just going to go a little bit more in depth on a few of these things. So this past year, we were really excited that we raised enough money to be able to give each company $20,000. Every company used it a little bit differently. So some examples were purchasing equipment, working on marketing, product stock, hiring. So lots of different things were done with this funding. And we hope that going forward that we'll be able to offer an even higher amount. For care support, we offered a $4,000 grant to support their care needs. As I mentioned, our goal was to provide holistic support to our participants, acknowledging their multiple responsibilities. So we didn't give any type of stipulations or requirements about how this grant would be used. We just wanted them to use it in whatever way they saw fit to support them, because there was a significant time commitment from the program. And we also had business development curriculum held almost weekly. These sessions were all virtual. So we brought in some industry experts from a lot of different places, and they talked about things like branding, marketing, sales and expansion, and different financing options. My personal favorite thing about the program were the monthly retreats. So most of the program was virtual, but we did meet once a month in person. It was super fun and just really valuable to network with folks on the different islands. So these business development retreats were grounded in Hawaiian values. So we wanted to make sure that we were meeting with various leaders or cultural practitioners on each island. We were collaborating with the local entrepreneurs to design these workshops and these retreats, and then have parts of the retreats where we were open to community members to join and meet with us. So interestingly, our cohort, even though our highest number of applicants was from Oahu, and I'll show the breakdown of percentage later, but we didn't have any Oahu companies. We had 2 Maui, 1 Kauai, and 2 Big Island. So we ended up doing a retreat on each island. Unfortunately, Kauai was canceled due to COVID restrictions, but it's important to us to get the entrepreneurs in the community and networking with folks across the islands. And mentorship, industry experts were hand selected to match each company's needs. So each company had 2 or 3 mentors, and they received roughly 3 hours of mentorship per month. So these were folks that were a match in the industry that they were in, or just had a skill set that was valuable that they could bounce ideas off of. And so through all of these things, we had 2 goals. The first is that within a year of joining the program, that the companies achieved 100 to 300% revenue growth. So it's our hope that through the education, through the mentorship, through funding, that they'd be able to achieve increased numbers of sales. And less quantitative, but more of a feeling to walk away from the program that they have a greater confidence and conviction in their venture. So the qualifications for the program, and by the way, we will be reopening applications again this summer, early this summer. I'm thinking probably early June. We took on 5 companies for this first cohort, and it had to be at least 50% founded by women of Native Hawaiian, Pacific, and Asian descent. And then we had 5 industries: tech, food systems, fashion, keiki, education, and wellness. Those are pretty broad buckets, but everyone roughly fit into those. So More detail, we only work with for-profits, so at this time we are not supporting nonprofits. We are looking for early stage companies, but there has to be an existing proof of concept. So you've already got a product or service going, you've already got some sales, some partnerships. As I mentioned, the 50% ownership. An early stage company is roughly 3 years or younger, falling in one of those 5 industries and having alignment with our values. This was incredible. I remember when we were talking about what our goal was for applications, I think at first we said 50 and then the stretch goal was 70. And so when we saw 199, we were blown away. We did have some amazing marketing partners that shared the application. So I was really happy to see that we got representation from 5 islands. So, you know, this just points to the need for a program like this. And that's why I said we have dreams to expand this even further, because I'm so happy that we got to help 5 women, but we want to do a lot more than that. So, excuse me, hopefully more to come very soon. And we landed on these 5 incredible women and companies, 2 of which you'll hear from today. I Know Organics is founded by Grace Young. All of this information is on our website, which I will share. But this is a Kauai-based CBD company, all grown and processed on the island of Kauai. Then we also have Hawaiʻi Farm Trails, founded by Khaleesi Mausio on Hawaii Island. She is doing a ton of different things to support Hawaiian agriculture. She has an app, she has a farm box that curates various products, and she also has a tree planting component. Melalani Jones, founder of Kokua Diaper, Maui's only cloth laundry and delivery service, and Lehia, who you will meet as well, Puli Farms, co-founded by her and her husband Brad, and they are working on developing farm tours, which she'll probably mention coming soon, exciting. And Malia Sarsona is the founder of Waimea Herb Company, and they have a variety of super delicious mamaki tea blends. I also wanted to share that we have a public resource that everybody can access. So as I mentioned, we had all of those business development workshops and we recorded them. So if you're interested in checking them out, it's foundher.org/resources. You just have to make a really quick login just so we can see who's using the portal. But we put up all the recordings. It's a free resource, and you know, as I said, with those 200 applicants, it was like, wow, we really got to think about what do we want to do to help the community. So this was kind of step 1 in doing that. So we've got a lot of really awesome folks that came on. Kuha'o Zane of Sig Zane, Ane from Kealo Pico. We had the marketing team from Waiakea Springs talking about branding and influencer marketing. And then we had Akemi Hyatt of Hidden Gears talking about e-commerce. So just a few examples. So hopefully this could be something helpful if you're thinking about starting a business or if you're already in the works. Just wanted to put up our team here, just acknowledge them for all of their hard work. Just incredible people, could not have executed this without them. And that is it. So this is a picture from Khaleesi's store opening. She has an amazing store that opened on the Big Island, so you have to check it out. I would love to hear from anybody that's interested in chatting more. You can either email me directly, or if you go on our website, if you scroll all the way to the bottom, there's an interest form, and then that way I'll be able to collect your email. And as I said, we are going to reopen applications probably around the first week of June. So if you have any questions about if you qualify or just want to know more about the program in general, I'm happy to answer anything. So with that, I will pass it over.
Okay, everyone. Aloha kako. I'm Melalani Jones, owner and founder of Kokua Diaper, and really excited to just share my reasons why of getting into business, what has driven me to take this direction, and just to share a little bit about me and the founder program that was so vital for me. So who I am. So Melalani Jones, like I mentioned, I am a Native Hawaiian woman, a mother of 2, and eco and community-minded wahine entrepreneur. I learned the business of cloth diapering in Brooklyn, New York, when I was my first child. Lived there for over a decade, left Maui when I graduated high school, moved to New York, and I really have always had a sense of, and we say in Hawaiian, kuleana. My kuleana has always been very strong in taking responsibility for taking action in problems that I feel that are really just rooted in Hawaiian culture. Funny story, I actually, the first way I ever made my first $20 was recycling. And I used to have this puppy pound backpack, and I would pick up rubbish and pick up cans and recycle bottles. And that's actually how I made my first $20. So I feel like I've always had that responsibility in me to do better. And I've always been really just dedicated to making sure that what I feel and taking action into that, and actually making something, taking those actions in those kind of emotions that are pretty heavy, especially in today's world. So these are my keiki here, my daughter Hali'a and my son Lucien, that were really actually the driving force behind me starting Kokua Diaper. So what Kokua Diaper is we are Maui's only cloth diaper delivery service. So what I feel was really needed is to give an alternative, an eco-conscious diapering choice, and bring it back home to Hawaii. When I had my daughter in Brooklyn, New York, I was just yearning to come home. I wanted her to be immersed in culture and around family and be back on Aina. It was really important to me as a Native woman. And I, just had this idea of, okay, I'm gonna come home, and that's all good and wonderful, but what am I gonna do when I come home? What is my offering? I can't just come kind of empty-handed. So I thought, I'm gonna start a cloth diaper service for Maui. It's so needed because of where we're positioned in the Pacific and our spatial, like just geographically, our space. We are so small, and we need to start connecting and realizing how our consumer culture and how things that we bring and ship into this island, how it drastically affects our surroundings, how it affects our water, our land, and our future children. So that was really my driving force of starting Kokua Diaper, was my kids and the future of Hawaii and just the state of this world. We are an extremely eco-conscious, thoughtful company. So everything from our diapers down to the products that we sell are all ethically sourced. Majority of the companies that I use are women-owned companies. I felt that was really important to support other women that are trying to take on business venture, because as you know, is very few women that sit at the business table. So I thought that was very something very important and lined up with my values. Another thing that I'm extremely proud of is our diapers are actually the highest grade of organic cotton that you can get on the market. So that means that we work under the GOTS certified EKO sustainable scheme. It's a mouthful, but that ensures that all the way from a non-GMO cotton seed through the production line, where farmers are treated fairly, pay is competitive, all the way to the processing of actually making the diapers. So socially, everyone is getting taken care of. So that was huge for me to be able to find our textile company that we actually get our diapers specifically made for us. It could have been very easily for me to find a diaper company that doesn't have the best practices and does, very fast fashion. And that was something that I was very adamant on not doing, implementing into our business. So we provide everything the family needs. We bring it to their door. We launder all of the diapers weekly, and then we essentially bring them back to the Ohana that signed up for our service. So completely have taken the workload off of Ohana to make an eco-conscious diapering choice, which is huge because majority of the time caregivers are the mothers. And another thing that I'm trying to change, not only the narrative of cloth diapering and to take the ick factor out, but to also change the narrative that women do not need to be the ones, lifting up everybody off of their backs and taking on more workload. That was huge for me. So trying to also change that narrative for women. We don't always have to be these strong figures that are resilient, you know, and take on the extra workload. So that was really big for me. Our impact. So our company's impact is pretty big. First off, just bettering babies' overall diaper experience. Typically, when you cloth diaper your child will virtually have no diaper rash, which is huge because as a mother, you want your child to be as comfortable, as protected. So using cloth diaper is just a really wonderful choice to do that for your baby, to have your baby in this beautiful soft cotton diaper versus using a single-use waste, disposable diaper. And another thing that is really big, one of our, big driving points is massive diaper waste diversion. So, cloth diapers are huge, but people, because of the ick factor and because of they're looked at so old school, disposable diapers have just completely flooded the market and made it into this convenience, which sure, it is convenient by 10 seconds, but in theory, you're still doing the same thing with both diapers. You're still holding on to them. One is just in a trash bag, one is in a diaper bin. The difference is you just wash one, the other one, you kind of take it to this magical place that nobody ever really sees and puts it in a hole and it stays there for 500 years. So there's really not that much in the two products other than the one is actually being reused. You're still using those as the same component, as a diaper component. So I'm really happy to say that as of 2019, Kokua Diaper has diverted 153,867 diapers out of Maui's landfill, which is huge. That is, you're talking tons upon tons of waste that will sit in our landfill for up to 500 years. And, it gets into our waterways, it gets into our oceans, it gets into our soil. So I'm really proud of that, that we've been able to achieve that and hoping to get those numbers higher in time with growth. And another thing that I really wanted to do with my business was, it wasn't for me always about the bottom line. Sure, I need to make money to make my business, stay above ground and create a living for myself. But I also really wanted to fill diaper need. I didn't want it to be something where it's looked at as this luxury or this extra expense, because kind of no matter which way you slice it, you will be paying some kind of form for diapering. It's something that you cannot avoid as a parent. So I have been fortunate enough to talk with one of my clients that is a wealthier client here on Maui. And we developed a partnership and we're doing a sponsorship for Native Hawaiians in need of diapers. And we have 5 families right now that he bought diaper starter kits and is paying for diaper service for them for an entire year. So really excited about that. Takes the extra workload off of these Ohana to be able to fill that diaper need in our community. So really looking forward to growing that more. Another huge impact that cloth diapering, the positive impact is keeping natural resources where they belong. So a lot of people don't really put those, 2 and 2 together on how many trees need to be cut down, how much production it takes and resources for that production. So just to give you an example, it takes 1 cup of crude oil to make 1 single-use diaper, and then in turn gets shipped around the world, gets used and then thrown away, to where cloth diapers have a lifespan of 6 years and can be used for multiple families. I have some diapers that have already gone to 10 families and they're perfectly wonderful. We sanitize them, wash them, make sure they're pH balanced for baby skin. And we're keeping so much oil, water, trees, just things where they belong to keep this planet healthy and going. And another impact with our service, I feel, is just really helping Ohana and bewildered parents with their cloth diaper journey and helping them connect with other community members in our community, as far as midwives, doulas, the La Leche League, which is, lactation consultants. So we've been able to build these partnerships to actually get some free courses to Ohana in need for things that are really vital for women in the community. So really excited about some of the things that we've been working on here, and just really helping parents change their mindset on single-use products and a better future for their family. So why did I choose entrepreneurship? So many reasons why. Lack of Native women in business. I think if you look at the statistics, it's quite scary how many, like even extremely successful women, it's like 2% that are making over $1 million in revenue within the business world. That's an extremely small number. So that was my driving force of just like, I have all these ideas. I'm capable. I'm going to do it. I'm going to push myself. Also, as a mother, it was really important to me to find this flexibility to be with my children and create, my own work schedule, my own life, and just have to be flexible as a parent, because especially with coronavirus, with school shutdowns and just having to really fly by the seat of your pants and drop everything at a dime and go pick up your children from school. I've been fortunate enough, as hard as it is for entrepreneurship and to try to figure out these systems and figure out your business, I'm really thankful that during this time, I've been able to drop what I'm doing and go and be with my children. So that was really huge for me. Doing good while creating financial freedom. That's really what my business is rooted in. I honestly have racked my brain. I've always had this entrepreneurship, like this spirit about me. But once I started doing cloth diapers, it was just like a no-brainer for me to start this venture and really just try to make some financial freedom while doing something that is pono, doing something that is right. So that's another road why I chose. And also, I'm a domestic violence survivor from a very young age. And it really taught me and has given me strength to really persevere through things and teach myself that I am beyond capable. So, yeah, just a lot of really, really wonderful avenues that entrepreneurship has been able to give me. But I feel like being a domestic violence survivor has really given me strength to do things and has really allowed me to like zero in and hone in on what my priority is for myself and for my family, and to create a protected space for myself and for my family. So as hard as it can be to start your own business, it comes with so many upsides and so much freedom and so much empowerment that I encourage any woman that has an idea, put that idea down to paper and put it into action, and you can do it to create these situations, these wonderful relationships, financial freedom, freedom with your schedule. I highly encourage it to you. Anyone can do it with a little bit of know-how and drive and tenacity. And I have a feeling there's a lot of people in the audience that have all those things. So the Hawaiʻi FoundHer program was absolutely vital for me. It couldn't have come at a better time. Between the mentorship that we had, our advisory board was incredible. We had like 4 pages of advisors, from advertising to marketing to strategic planning. I mean, the list goes on. Commerce, website development. I mean, it was really, really major, and things that I would have never thought about to really pivot my business. So I'm forever grateful for this program. The cherry on top was that they gave us money with no strings attached and a child stipend, which never happens. I mean, within a business accelerators that, they do exist, but a native based, woman based, and thinking of that component about their mothers, and they probably need some money for childcare. That was huge and just really, really invaluable. But I think for me, the most invaluable part was really creating a sisterhood with all these women and having these like-minded women, other Native women that just, we all relate. We're all so connected from these islands and from the Pasifika. We're all sisters, and to be able to have that is really, really lifelong relationships. And I couldn't speak any hire of the Hawaiʻi FoundHer program. Darien, our fearless leader, that just had so many amazing speakers, so much support. And as a new entrepreneur and as a female entrepreneur that never gets a seat at the table, this program gave us so much support in many, many ways. So I can't thank you guys enough. Darien, love you. Lehia, love you guys. My sister's in this picture, all of them, and all the mentors. I really encourage anyone that is interested in getting into business as a Native woman, hit up the cohort number 2. You will not regret it. Just absolutely wonderful what those folks are doing. And mahalo nui, you guys. Thank you so much for having me and letting us share our stories and sharing this space with us. And thank you.
All right, aloha, my name is Leahia Apana, and I'm co-founder of Poli Farms, and we're located here in Waihu, Maui. And this question, what do you want to be when you grow up? I always knew the answer to that question from a very early age, and I wanted to be a writer and a storyteller. So that is pretty much, I was laser focused from a young age, like I said, and I went to school for journalism. I worked in the media industry for over 15 years, working in newspapers, in magazines, and also writing travel books. And it was a glamorous life. These are just some images from that era in my life, going to fancy parties, exclusive dinners, and just this really glamorous life, which is no longer. I call this the before photos. And so here are my after photos. This is more so my everyday today. Instead of sipping champagne, I'm playing in the soil and looking for worms. So quite different. And I just wanted to kind of share my story as my journey to entrepreneurship and how the heck I got here. So let me start from the beginning. Back in 2011, my husband and I, I will call this slide the action ends suffering slide. And what I mean by that is back in 2011, on Maui in particular, there was just a lot of turmoil and bad news and just intensity surrounding Monsanto and GMOs and the health and safety of our food. And so, in the evenings, my boyfriend at the time, but my husband now, Brad, and I would sit around the dinner table and complain and lament about all the negative things that we were reading and questioning what was in our food and really just complaining, right? And so we decided that action ends suffering. And so we decided to start small with where we could at that moment. And that was by starting a garden bed, this tiny little box, as you can see here. And from there, we got hooked. It was meant more so as a distraction, not as some path we were going to take in life. But we started with this little garden bed, and everywhere we moved, our growing space got bigger, and we became more obsessed with growing our own food. And then in 2000, so we became so obsessed, right, to the point where we wanted to purchase a larger area of land so we could really kind of take our growing to the next level. So in 2017, we purchased our home and the land that our farm is now on. You can see a little bit of our farm behind me here. But as you can see, this looks very different from the slide in front of you. When we arrived here, it was completely overgrown with jungle. This is Brad trying to see even where the boundary pins are. We couldn't even walk through the land. So back in 2017, when we purchased, we continued to hold down our full-time jobs. Me as a writer, my husband as a construction project manager. And slowly, we'd farm at night, we'd farm on the weekends and work at just clearing the area and replanting abundant food forests. So that's the style of, well, actually, let me back up. When we cleared this land, we didn't know what was underneath. And when we cleared it, there were the traditional terraces used for growing kalo were still there, still intact. And so it became super clear to us that we need to put this land back into indigenous food production. And so that's what we're doing today. And so we're doing it through Polynesian agroforestry, and we're growing a number of crops, mostly canoe crops and also other native plants. And so we were doing that. We were slowly working towards getting our land cleared and our plants planted out. And then March 2020, the world changed and our world changed. And Brad and I both lost our jobs. Or I'm sorry, Brad actually had just started to transition out of his job. And in that same month, he decided to start working on the farm full time. But then coronavirus hit and I was suddenly without a job. So we were both unemployed at the beginning of the, sorry, that's my dog, if you can hear that. At the beginning of the pandemic. And so that left us at a crossroads thinking, you know, what are we gonna do? And we decided to go all in on farming. So less than a year later, we began selling our first farm products, and this is the result. So we are selling a Hawaiian herbal tea, and it's a blend of mamaki and ulu. And so we're selling on our website, and we also are in many stores throughout Hawaii. So as Darien mentioned, a next step for us is to open up the farm itself for visitors. So we already have had some visitors. We've had community groups, school groups, educational types of visits. And our next step, though, is to host more commercial groups. And our mission, right around that time, our mission began to take shape as well, now that we were a farm business. And for us, it's important that we combine agriculture, culture, and education in order to feed the people the foods, in order to feed the people of Hawaii the foods of Hawaii. And so you can see here some of the things that came off of our land. We have mamaki, kalo, niu. And a secondary mission is also just to connect people and aina so that both may thrive. One of my farm mentors, he always says that, you know, the plight of our people is the same as the plight of our aina, and that he talks about how much they're interconnected. And today as a farmer, I see that very much on a personal level. My health, the health of this aina that we're working with, it goes hand in hand. All right, so another big step in our farming business journey was finding and becoming part of the Hawaiʻi FoundHER Ohana. And I won't talk too much about that. Darien and Mele talked a lot about that already, but I will echo what Mele said about the relationships and that sisterhood. That to me is my biggest takeaway from all of this. And I just think it's so, you know, when smart, motivated women come together, it's very powerful, you know, and that's what FoundHER is. And you see the five of us here, but there's this whole sort of just support team around us as well. And so for me, FoundHER, it expanded my idea of what our farm could be. Because when I first started, I just thought, you know, we're gonna wanna max out this place, you know, plant as much as we can and produce as much food as we can and hopefully make a living that way. And that's gonna be a success. And now I realize that that is just one step to really what this farm can be. And the impact, you know, that it can have. And so FoundHER has really expanded my idea of how to use, you know, this small little kipuka that we have here to really not just cultivate food, but cultivate education, inspiration, and connection with aina. So that's really a big takeaway from FoundHER as well. And I think I think I'm going to speak for all of the FoundHERs, where I think they kind of sprinkled that magic on all of us and kind of pushed us to think bigger than what we were thinking when we first started the program. And so when I was asked to be a speaker, I was prompted with this question, you know, how has starting this business empowered me? And I will say that I'm sorry if you guys can hear my dog who's barking, but when I was first asked to speak and, you know, understanding the theme of this event, I kind of felt out of place being a speaker. Domestic abuse, physical abuse, you know, hasn't touched me directly as an individual. And I was kind of questioning like how I would show up and say something meaningful in this space. And as I reflected, I realized that I had experienced a form of workplace abuse, even if I never called it that. Just to give you guys a little bit of background. So, you know, I had a very difficult, actually, many of my coworkers had a very difficult relationship with a person, you know, at work. And during one particular outburst, I began to, my hands started to get numb. I started to have a hard time catching my breath. I started to feel like I was losing control of my own body. And I couldn't figure it out, you know, but now I know that was my very first panic attack. And at the time, I mean, if anybody's ever gone through that, it can be scary and disorienting and you have no idea what's going on. So it was a very, very scary time for me. And excuse me, I was in a workplace where it was kind of positioned as this family environment and that we're this Ohana, you know. And so I expected management to fix the situation, to get it under control. And instead, they chose to ignore what was happening to me and to others. And this kind of abusive behavior continued in the workplace. And my panic attacks became more frequent until eventually I was diagnosed with depression and anxiety. Excuse me, I've never really talked about this in public, so. Okay. And so today, get over the hump of this sad story. So today though, you know, reflecting on that situation and reflecting on how I want to show up as we create our own business, creating a safe environment is really major for me. And it's something that I never really thought about and I kind of always took for granted. And so, you know, back to the question of how is starting a business empowered me, it's freed me for one, to sort of create my own destiny in that way and create a good space around what we're doing. And then the second way that it's empowered me, make my mark. And what I mean by that is, you know, growing up as a young Hawaiian here on Maui, I always wanted to be, you know, a good Hawaiian and do my part for my culture and make an impact. And but I was a writer and I was like, how am I going to do that? I couldn't figure out how to sort of marry the two. Towards the latter part of my career, I did start to focus on more Native issues and Indigenous topics that I felt was important. So I was kind of starting to do that. But now today, with our farm business, I feel so empowered to, instead of, you know, writing stories and telling other people's stories, I'm starting to write our own story and our own sort of journey of impact. Sorry, my dog child is having a tantrum. And that is empowering as well. And so that was an unexpected, you know, perk of life going in this direction for us. And a lot of that comes back to what I was talking about earlier, this action and suffering. It's something that I swear my husband and I say to each other on a weekly basis. So instead of complaining or being sad or frustrated about things that are happening, because there's so much bad news. If you look for it, it's there, you know, what's happening, you know, the health outcomes of our people, the cost of living, just all kinds of dire statistics. And so for me, starting our business and using our farm as a catalyst for good, it feels like I'm taking action and that I don't feel stuck complaining or sort of waiting for other people to solve issues that I care about. We can, you know, kind of attack them ourselves head on. And so I just want to thank, so that is all, you know, really a nice way to think about, you know, what this business has meant for us, not just trying to empower ourselves, my husband and I as individuals, but also empower the things that we care about. And I want to say, I have never really thought about a lot of these things until I was asked to speak today. So mahalo for this opportunity. I mean, it's really opened my eyes on, I guess, what this journey has been for us. And when times are hard, I know that I'll come back and look at these slide decks and kind of it'll uplift me. And I hope that our stories have resonated with some of you as well. So mahalo.
There's a question in the chat. Do one of you want to answer it first? What advice would you give a young Pasifika woman who really wants to start a business but has no support and feels like all the odds are against them?
I will answer that. I mean, sorry, Mel, because I just have an answer that I know is popping out at me. But first, the story. I mean, so when Brad and I, my husband Brad and I, were first wanting to become farmers, there's a farming group called Hawaiʻi Farmers Union, and it's basically a gathering of like-minded farm people. And we thought, oh, well, we're not farmers yet. We can't possibly join this organization. We don't belong. And that was completely the wrong way to think about it. It's like you have to go towards what you want. And so that for us was the beginning of starting relationships. And relationships is my answer to this question. You know, you might not have the resources, say the financial resources or the connections yet to start that business, but it's gonna start with a foundation of solid relationships. And that's what I've realized, like, no matter where you are, where you're arriving on your entrepreneurial journey, the social capital is a real force. And I think that it's open to anyone, even if you might not have the financial means. But my relationships has been what's bolstered us every step of the way, including all of the relationships with FoundHER. So that would be my answer, is start meeting people, telling them what you are interested in doing, and connecting with other people who either want to, you know, be on that journey with you or who can connect you. Mele, do you have anything to add?
No, I 100% agree. It's, I mean, gosh, in a few points in my life, I had no support. I had given my all. I didn't think that I was going to come out the other end. And it's extremely surprising that when you really kind of run towards your fears, how that actually really truly opens up so many opportunities for you. And I think, like you said, for, you know, if you feel like you don't have means, if you feel like you don't have support, finding those groups, I mean, you would be surprised. I mean, honestly, what you can find on Facebook. I mean, there's entrepreneurial support groups, there's people that want to collaborate. And so finding those like-minded people, and once you open those doors, the networking is just going to begin, that you would be surprised on how many people want to come forward and help you, because they were you. They started off where you were. And I always remind myself that I'm not the first and I'm not the last. And that really keeps me driving to always keep going and to always kind of be a person of service to help people. also anybody that wants, information for Hawaiʻi FoundHer or my email that would like to speak about, business, I'm happy to share that, because that's just what it takes sometimes. Is you need that support. You need that vital support to feel like you're not alone, to jump ideas off of. And then next thing you know, you just start connecting the dots and things starts moving and you start to have a trajectory that you thought you would never have. So really just run towards your fears, and those people will come to you, because it will just happen. It can happen. So mahalo, you guys.
I totally agree. And I can think of some community groups off the top of my head. So I'm going to just put some of these. I don't know where everybody is located. And yeah, again, feel free to reach out to me, because I can probably think of something where everybody is. But just as an example, the YWCA has the Enterprising Women of Color Center, and I always plug them because I think what they're doing is so amazing. Everything is free. They have tons of different types of counseling, certification programs. They have their own programs as well. So everything is free. So I would really, really recommend reaching out to them. And then there's a couple of other groups too. This one is not free, but this is a friend of mine started this, Oak and Pine Society. Really cool. They're based on Oahu. So if you are on Oahu, they have in-person events, but they also have like an online community as well. And I've attended a lot of their online events, and it's just like a super cool, like they've been saying, like a sisterhood, right? Of like-minded women with similar challenges, sharing about their experience. And then if there's anybody on Kauai, Leh of Kauai is awesome, and they do a lot of very similar work. So just 3 examples, but there's plenty more out there. And like they were saying, like when you first start reaching out to people, you might feel a little bit nervous about it. But I have found through organizing community around this program that people really, really want to share, and they really, really want to help. So don't feel discouraged. It's 100% possible. And mahalo everyone for letting us come and talk to you today. It's been a lot of fun. Hope to hear from some of you soon.